Hey everyone, I'm here at Apple's event in Cupertino. They just announced 3 new iPhones, the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Last one's a bit of a mouthful. Let's check them out. So quick word on the naming structure here before we go on. The iPhone 11 is actually replacing the iPhone XR that debuted last year. So there's no R version anymore. It's just the iPhone 11. Now there's the iPhone 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max. Those are replacing the iPhone XS and the XS Max. Those are the flagships. And the standard iPhone 11 is going to have fewer features. For example, there's only 2 cameras on it, whereas there's 3 cameras on the other 2 phones. But that's why it has a cheaper price. So in terms of display, you're getting a pretty similar setup to last year's iPhone range. You're getting a 6.1-inch screen LCD for the iPhone 11, and for the iPhone 11 Pro, you're getting a 5.8-inch screen, that's an OLED, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max has a 6.5-inch screen OLED as well. What's different with the Pro model specifically is this new display technology that Apple is calling Super Retina XDR display, leveraging the technology it uses on its Pro Display XPR for the new Mac Pro. It's sharper than ever before, it's more colorful, more vibrant, there are deeper blacks, super high contrast ratio. One of the more interesting things is how bright it can get. It can get up to 12,000 nits bright, but typically you'll probably see around 800 nits. So either way, this should be a really stunning display for any environment. Of course, it's a little hard to test that screen here in the little hands-on area that we were allowed, but that's something we'll be taking a look at for the full review. So how does it compare with the iPhone 11 screen? Well, you're not getting HDR. It's not going to be that bright, and it's not going to be that sharp, and because it's LCD, you're not going to get as nice looking blacks on the screen. But you do get features like True Tone, which adjusts the color temperature of the screen to the environment that you're in. But from my first glimpse of the iPhone 11 screen, I didn't really see any issues. It still looks just as nice as the iPhone XR screen, if not a little bit better. While there aren't a ton of changes with the design on the front, there are a couple on the back, well, specifically the one giant camera module that's now there on the top left, housing the triple camera setup on the iPhone 11 Pro models and a dual camera setup on the iPhone 11. I don't really know how to feel about it. Initially, I feel like they should have done something to cover up the lenses and have like a black, sleek look that hides those little holes. If you're someone who suffers from trypophobia, this might affect you, but I think they should have gone the route of something like the Galaxy S10 series, where you can not really see each individual camera that much. It doesn't stand out as much, whereas here it really catches your eye and attention, and not necessarily in a good way. But I think I'll get used to it, and who knows, maybe I'll start to like it down the road. Otherwise, you're getting stainless steel on the iPhone Pro models and aluminum on the iPhone 11, along with Apple's strengthened glass that apparently is super durable, but something that we can't really test without damaging our units, and of something that we haven't really been able to test in the brief hand sound time that we've had. We don't have any concrete numbers on battery milliamp hour capacity yet, but Apple has said that the iPhone 11 Pro should last 4 more hours than the iPhone XS, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max should last 5 hours more than last year's iPhone XS Max. Specs-wise, all 3 phones are running the A13 Bionic chipset, which Apple says is the fastest mobile chipset you can get on the market, beating out Qualcomm's Snapdragon 855. We'll have to test that claim, but it's probably going to hold up. Really had no issues running anything on this phone in the little demo area. I even played a game called Pascal's Wager, and it performed flawlessly. Now, battery life is also getting a bump across the board. The iPhone 11 is supposed to last an hour longer than last year's iPhone XR. The iPhone 11 Pro is supposed to last 4 hours longer, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max is supposed to last 5 hours longer than last year's iPhone XS Max. Those are pretty substantial battery life improvements. We'll have to test them out longer to see if those claims hold up true. All 3 iPhones again support the fast charging technology. However, sadly, only the Pro models get the fast charger included in the box. You're not going to be able to get that included with the standard iPhone 11, so you can buy it separately. What I really like on the new Pro model specifically is the texture that's on the back. It's a matte texture, not really glossy, so it's also not attracting those fingerprints, so that means you don't really have to keep wiping down your iPhone. That is always a plus in my book. It also has new colors. Midnight green specifically looks really nice. I think it's the one I'd go for if I was going to buy one. And it also has space gray, gold, and silver options as well. The iPhone 11 comes in 6 new colors, and the lavender really catches my eye, although still not a fan of how glossy that one is and how prone to fingerprints it is. Okay, let's talk cameras. Starting with the front camera, it's now a 12 megapixel camera that's capable of 4K video recording, but there's a more unique feature that I didn't really think Apple would do: slow motion selfies, which Apple is calling slofies. Thankfully, it doesn't say slofies in the camera app, just says slow-mo, but now you can actually take 120 FPS slow motion video with the front camera, enabling some creative uses. It works pretty well. Portrait mode is getting also a few upgrades here, specifically on the iPhone 11. Now it can take portrait mode shots of dogs or pets in general. Before, the iPhone XR was restricted to people. Of course, this has always been possible on the Pro models, on last year's XS and XS Max as well. There's also a new lighting effect in portrait mode. It's called High Key Mono, and really allows for some neat black and white shots. There is also a new night mode. It's not specifically dedicated mode like we've seen on other phones, but it automatically turns on when there's not enough light. You can control the level of long exposure to your liking, and it should really drastically allow for better shots, at least from the comparison shots that we've seen from Apple. I haven't been able to test this out yet because it's not quite dark in there, but we'll test it out when we get the full review units. There are also a couple of video upgrades. First off, there's cinematic stabilization is what Apple calls it, which should allow for much more stable, nicer looking footage. But the biggest changes are with those extra camera lenses. The iPhone 11 is getting that extra camera lens over from the iPhone XR, which only had a single lens setup. So that extra lens is a ultra wide angle lens, and that should allow for some different perspectives when you're taking your shots. It's both 12 megapixel lenses, the standard one as well as the ultra wide angle lens. With the iPhone 11 Pro and the Pro Max, you're getting a third camera. That third camera is actually the ultra wide angle lens that you'll get on the iPhone 11, but of course it's adding on to the fact that there are existing telephoto lenses there, as well as that standard lens too. So you're getting a triple camera lens set up there, not different from phones like the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, as well as Huawei's P30 series as well. It feels really nice rotating between all these lenses. You can just slide your finger across and quickly switch from 0.5 times, which is the ultra wide angle lens, to 1 times, to 2 times, which is with the telephoto lens, and you can even go up to 10 times on the Pro model specifically. With the iPhone 11, you can go from 0.5 times, which is the ultra wide angle, 1 times, and 5 times, which is digital zoom, as is the 10 times on the iPhone 11 Pro models. One interesting feature I can't wait to check out is called Deep Fusion. That's coming to the Pro models later on this year, and Apple says it takes several photos before you start taking a photo, specifically in low light environments, and it uses the neural engine to go through each pixel and clean it up to lower the amount of noise, and overall just produce a really strong, sharp, low light photo, something that I can't wait to see what it's like when it comes out later this fall. Pretty happy with what Apple has added here with the latest iPhones, specifically with the cameras. I think those improvements are pretty substantial, and I can't wait to test them out in the real world. That being said, I think there are 2 other features could have really tied the whole package together, specifically USB-C. With the Pro moniker, it just would have made sense to have USB-C here because the iPad Pro last year added USB-C, and there's USB-C ports on MacBooks as well. So the whole thing just would have made more sense to have a USB-C port. It just would mean that I would have one less cable to carry around, and I could just charge all my devices with one cable too. The other feature is reverse wireless charging. It's nothing crazy, but it's something we've seen from competitors like Samsung and Huawei, and it would have been really cool to wirelessly charge other devices like your AirPods wireless charging case or an Apple Watch, for example. It might have been handy in dire situations. Not really sure why this isn't here. Apparently got canceled at the last minute, but again, not a crazy thing to miss on this new iPhone. So that's a quick look at the new iPhone range. The iPhone 11 costs $699. That's a little cheaper than the iPhone XR last year. And the iPhone 11 Pro starts at $999, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max starts at $1099. Now they'll all be available for pre-order starting this Friday, but you'll be able to pick them up in stores starting September 20th. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked that video, hit the like button, subscribe, and head over to digitaltrends.com for more content.